G'day, guys. If I speak a lot of shit in this review, I apologise. It just means I'm a little bit high on Codral. I've been shunted out to the makeshift My Blue Heaven studio, which is in a granny flat here. Thank God we've got this, because I actually tested positive to COVID on Wednesday evening. At that stage, they were only very mild symptoms, but gee, I'll tell you what, the next 48 hours have been physically a real roller coaster. And probably physically, I was at my worst when the game was on, when I was watching it on my laptop in this bed, which I really haven't moved from for the last 72 hours. I must say, I could not do this yesterday. I could not even lift my head to actually do it. But I think I've come out the other side. I really do, and I think I'm starting to feel a little bit better. Touch wood. But I sort of don't trust this thing. I don't trust this thing. So I apologise if I sound like shit, and if I just mumble a little bit too. What a win! What a win, eh? I mean, physically I was struggling, but emotionally I felt fucking good. I felt really good. I couldn't be happier for this group of players and Michael Voss. I couldn't be happier. The whole 22 players that took the field, I couldn't be happier. And I know there were some players who may have been a little bit down, but this, for me, and I talk about it all the time, this was a team performance. This was a team performance. And in the review, I said all I want is to be able to be proud of my football team, and I'm immensely proud right here, right now, what they were able to do in that game against the Tiges. And for the first time for a long time, and I know I've got to be careful, and I know I'm a fucking skeptic, but I'm seeing a professional outfit on and off the field, which is important. I think the level of professionalism off the field is starting to translate on field. It really is. The work that's been done behind the scenes. You can just see it. I mean, you can see it. And I mean, I'm the first to admit that I'm very, very negative. But that's just me. And if you follow this channel, you know that. I mean, fuck, I frustrate myself with my inability to see the positives. But this was a landmark performance, and I know there's a tendency to get carried away, and I'm not getting carried away, because I know there's going to be better credentialed football teams in Richmond, and that's taking nothing away from the Tigers at all, because I mentioned in the preview that they'll hit us hard, which they did, and they've still got enough talent on that list and got a very good coach and a very good culture to trouble us, which they did. But I think we're going to encounter a lot better football teams in Richmond this year. But for this as a stepping stone to where we want to go, I think it's very, very significant for us, because we're starting to see it. And it's not just, I think it's more than just playing on emotion. And it was great to see. It was great to see the supporters there. And while I'm on this, sitting at home, disappointing not to be able to be there and feel that energy. I was really quite envious. But hats off to you guys who are actually there. It just that noise that was coming through my headphones. Wowee. I've always said it that, and this goes back to that 2013 elimination final where we were probably outnumbered 70-30 in regards to support that day, but when Juddy kicked that goal in the last quarter, we drowned those Richmond supporters out with our noise. And there's something about the Carlton supporter base that we are so fucking noisy and so passionate and loud. We mightn't have the biggest numbers. We've got a huge supporter base, but we mightn't have the biggest numbers. But there's no more emotionally loud supporter base than Carlton. And when obviously when Doc kicked that goal, but for me the moment, and I nearly fell off the bed because I actually jumped with excitement, was when Zach Fisher kicked that goal in the last quarter where Jack Martin fed that handball out to him. I think we kicked 4 in a row, and we just knew there, but we probably had the Tiges, and oh God, the noise. I mean, I would have just loved to have been there. So well done to the supporters. Absolutely fantastic. So that energy there, but what I'm seeing, what I was trying to say is this isn't an emotional Carlton team at the moment. I know we had Doc coming back into the team, and we wanted to win it for him, but there's a process about this which I'm seeing, and I know you need to play with emotion, and with emotion comes great energy and enthusiasm and intent, and almost sort of like an inner aggression, unless you're up emotionally, but unless you're structurally good, unless you've got good practices set in place, all the emotion in the world will only last for a small amount of time. So when we were down in that first quarter, and things weren't going our way, we fumbled, although I thought we started off quite well in the first, say, 5 to 10 minutes. I think we got our hands on the ball and we had some looks inside forward 50. Emotionally then, like we could have folded. But I think it's boring, but we stuck to the processes and what are we good at and what we are good at right here, right now. And I think there's still a lot of improvement to do behind the ball. I think there's still a lot of improvement to do forward to centre. I think there's good signs at both ends of the ground, but what we do really, really well is contest. I mean, football's a fucking contest, really. I mean, you put a fucking ball there, you throw it up in the air, and it's who wants it, gets it. And our contest work is just amazing. It really is. And in that midfield group, it's going to get a lot of publicity. There's no doubt about that. But I think for me, that group of players, that quartet at the moment, Kennedy, Cripps, Chera, and Hewitt, they're going to be able to handle. The reason why they're going to be handle the I suppose the scrutiny and the external noise is because none of them are. I'm not saying they're not elite, because what they do is elite, but none of them are flashy. They're not like these types of players where you think, well, they're sort of flighty and sort of they float in and out of the game. They're just really reliable and safe and consistent. And sure, they're going to have their days where they might be a little bit down on output, but they're just fucking solid. They're just so fucking solid. And they just put their nose to the ground, over the pill, and they're composed and clean, particularly by hand. And it's just a delight to see. We've finally got an engine room which is A grade. It really is. It's A grade. And it can still improve with the inclusion of Sammy Walsh, and then we start to develop some other players in the twos as well. So it's good signs from that point of view. And I think the most pleasing thing for me is we didn't panic at quarter time, and we got to work on the inside, and we just generated so many scoring opportunities in that second quarter. And then obviously the floodgates opened in the last. The game ebbed and flowed. We were able to, fight back. We were able to change the tempo of the game when we needed to. And that was the most pleasing thing for me. It really was. And to see our leaders just stand tall. And I think not just Cripper, but I think other players on the ground as well who were just able to compose themselves at important times, particularly late in that game, was really significant for us as well. Yeah, I just thought it was a really significant win for us. Um, and for not 1 minute, I didn't think the Tigers were not up for the fight either, particularly late in the game. I mean, we just grinded them into the ground. We really did, and it just got to the point where they just couldn't handle the heat. Um, um, yeah, I mean, just the numbers through that middle. Wow, unbelievable. So what I thought I might do, guys, is just quickly run through the players in this review. I think it might be easier for me to do that. I know this is a team game, and I bang on about team performances, and everyone has to play a role within the team. And I think what I'll do is I go through each player is just talk about their role within the team and how I think they performed. I'll start off with Jack. I just thought it was just another really typical Jack performance. I don't think he's he's not going to feature in the best players. He's probably not going to come up in any highlights packages, but I just think he works really hard. He gives us a bit of a point of difference, forward to centre. He works bloody hard. I thought he kept Nathan Broad, and people go Nathan Broad, but Nathan Broad is a really good attacking defender, medium-sized defender. And I looked at Broad's stats. He still had 20, but he didn't appear to me to be a great influence offensively for the Tigers. We know they like to get a lot of rebound from the back half, but I just thought he kept Broad really honest, particularly on the lead. Worked really hard at ground level, and he probably should have finished. He was unlucky, hit the post twice, kicked a really important goal in that third quarter, where he found some space out the back and marked really strongly on a lead. Kicked it, that was an important goal for us when the Tigers had taken control of the game in the third. And then late in the game, when we just needed a bit of energy up around the ball, I think him and DeConning sort of replaced Pitt in the ruck, and he just gave us that extra sort of depth at ground level. So I just thought it was a really solid performance by Jack, and just a typical performance by him. I just think it was he gives us that energy that we need, particularly in the front half. And then when he gets his opportunity, I think he's quite flexible to push further up the ground at certain times throughout the game. O'Brien's an interesting one. He's had a fair few knockers over the last couple of days. I've read quite a little bit about that he should be on the chopping block. I don't think he will be on the chopping block. I think he's probably going to get a few more opportunities. I think it's a really interesting position, this modern day wingman. He's played 86 minutes of ground time. You've got to be able to cover the ground. First and foremost, you've got to be able to cover the ground as a wingman. You've got to be able to get up and down, get back, go forward. We saw him get deep forward in that last quarter and kick a goal. I think he's trying in his contest work. I really do, but he's just not strong enough. And I don't think we need him to do that. But when it's your turn to go, and I'm not saying he's squibbing it. I mean, who am I to call anyone I think he's genuinely trying. I just don't think he's physically strong enough to be able to do that. But I think I've seen him really sort of work on that part of his game. It's the outside work that I'm more concerned about. We're not getting that. That's the area that I think we need more from him. I thought he was sort of touched up early by Marleon Pickett. I think and I'm not a huge rap for Pickett, but they worked through O'Brien. Pickett was a big influence in that first quarter. And I know O'Brien had a few nice little moments, but his ball use, it's supposed to be elite. I haven't seen it yet, really. I think he hit up Owies inside forward 50 in that second quarter. It was probably the only time I really saw him get out by himself. It's a difficult one to assess if you're not there at the game and you're just watching the opponent, that winger and what they're doing off the ball. It's a really difficult one. I just think he's going to get more opportunities, but I think he will need, his game needs to grow. It really does. Because there will be guys wanting his position. But he's got that engine, and that's probably what he has over the other the other players, at the moment. The only other guy that probably take his spot at the moment, realistically, and don't throw up guys like Dow and Jack Carroll at the moment. I don't think they've got the fitness base to be playing on a wing. Is probably Jack Nunes. And have we gone past the Jack Nunes, and do we want to give Lockie that opportunity for for a significant period of time? I don't think it was a shocking performance, but he'd want to improve on that. Chera was just outstanding in his debut game for the football club. Clean, composed, courageous. Won a fuckload of free kicks, I know that, because he put his... And they weren't... they would have been frustrating free kicks for Richmond because he was in first. Smart. You win free kicks because you're smart. You put your head over the pill. I didn't really know he was that good in close. 6 clearances. And I'm looking forward to see what he can do on the outside once he really starts to work into this. I'm really impressed by Adam Cherry. He looks great. He looks great in the Carlton jumper, and he's a good one. He really is. Terrific debut for the football club. Well done. Thought Zach Williams was down. Energy good. Did he have a role? I didn't really see him. I thought the Richmond Smalls were okay. Castagna had some moments. Bolton, I don't know. I just think we can expect a little bit more than 11 disposals, particularly from a running half back who we want the ball in his hands. Is he getting the right spots? I reckon he's working hard. He spent 89 minutes on the ground, which is a fair chunk of time for 11 disposals. Not saying it was a poor performance, but we'd like to see a little bit more output from Zach Williams. Matthew Kennedy, wow, what a transformation with Bam Bam. Just brilliant. I mean, he's spent 73 minutes on the ground. He's picked up 33 disposals. He's should have kicked 2 or 3. He's only kicked the 1 goal, but he's had 8 clearances. And he's had 514 metres gained. And he's a beauty. Didn't start in the centre square, had his moments in there, but he's strong, he's aggressive, he tackles hard, and he's becoming just a really consistent footballer and a real bonus. And that's one that we will look back on now, and we will think, I think he was possibly part of the Bryce Gibbs sort of scenario when Gibbsy left. And poor old Sauce has copped a lot of criticisms about the guys he got across from the Giants, but right here, right now, he's becoming a really important player for us. Is Matthew Kennedy. Cripper, I think we're just going to have to expect that we're going to get a few, not so much brain fades from Cripper. He's just not a great field kick, as in pinpoint passes. I think his set shot for goal is really improved. So he hits the scoreboard. I just think I think we're just going to have to put up with it. But the work he does is just amazing. He's had 30 disposals, and his leadership. I mean, I don't think I've seen a better captain's performance by that from a Carlton skipper, probably since Judd 2013 elimination final against the Tigers. He was everywhere, Cripper. Everywhere. 8 clearances, and there was a passage of play in that second quarter, and this was perfect Cripper. But he did this dinky little pass inside forward 50 to Matthew Kennedy. It was on. Kennedy at the time was sort of by himself. He had some space. But because the kick had too much air on it, he just floated it up. By the time the ball got to Kennedy, he had about 2 or 3 Tigers on him, and they spoiled Kennedy. Actually usually takes those marks. Maybe that's why Cripper kicked it to him, but he was probably confident he'd take it, even if he had a bit of heat on him. But as soon as the ball hit the deck, the Tigers just pounced, and they were out. Turnover at half back, or on the 50-metre arc, and off they went. And they went through the centre circle, and I thought, here we go, easy goal. Got it into a clear forward line, and Shai Bolton, who's got geez, he's got some wheels. And I think Doc was trying to chase as well. And Doc, I mean, he was just fuck the poor bastard. And next thing you know, out of nowhere, Cripper. I thought, fucking hell, Cripper. Rip jumper and everything's just launched himself in the punt road pocket there and forced Bolton into the pocket and to kick around his body. I don't think he got a hand to it, Cripper, but he certainly put Bolton off and it went through from behind. And I thought, that's an incredible amount of work rate from a midfielder. Knew he fucked up and just got back. And yeah, it was just I think that just epitomises where we're at the moment, that work rate. And it was great to see Cripper and great to see him nail that goal late as well. Really important goal. Really good game by the captain. Great captain's game. Thought he was probably our best. Harry was a little bit down. I just think he's probably might have a slow start to the season. I really do. I think there's no doubt he's probably going to face a few challenges this year. I think, you know, the defenders would have done their homework into him. You know, he copped a pretty good matchup in Robbie Tarrant, who's a really strong key defender, really strong, and is a decent runner himself. And Harry just needs to find some other ways to, I suppose, get involved in the game. And it's difficult, you know, particularly if the ball's not being used particularly well going inside forward 50. You know, it can be hard for a key forward, but I just thought his output and, you know, his energy was a little bit down. And I'm not particularly worried about it at the moment because we know it will come. It will click for him. You know, he still was able to have a couple of good moments. I think that was a really important goal in that third quarter from outside 50. So yeah, I wouldn't be panicking with Harry at the moment. We'd love some more goals from our talls. But when you kick over 100 points and you only have, you know, Harry kicking one goal, I think, you know, you have to take the positives from that. And really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who kicks them. Mitch McGovern I'm surprised. I'm not surprised in how well he's fitted in that position because he's a talented footballer. I'm probably a little bit more surprised at the moment with his commitment. I don't know. I just look at him and think, here's a guy that really wants to be a part of something and really wants to turn his career around and maybe I've misjudged him and it's still really early days but I thought he was our best defender. Clearly our best defender. I thought his second quarter with his ball use and his positioning was just elite. You know, those hit up kicks, the ability to, you know, to hit an opponent with pace with his kicking, you know, hard, flat kicks with depth, are just damaging. And, you know, I couldn't be happier for him, you know, and I think, you know, he's hopefully going to be a real success story for us. So it was a very good game. 525 metres gained from 14 disposals. That's huge. That's huge from a defender. And I think he's only going to get better. And that's going to give him a lot of confidence. And he's got some strength about him as well, which is good. I didn't mind the Connings game. Very difficult opportunities. He's growing. He needs to. It's going to be interesting how we use him. Whether we give him more opportunities in the ruck, more time in the ruck. I thought he was significant late in the game where we really needed some energy up around the ball. You know, he ended up with the 8 hit-outs. I like his aggression at ground level. He hits packs hard. He flies for marks. All of them are going to eventually stick. But when he gets his opportunity, he's going to have to nail them. That's not a great kicking style. by Tom De Koning. So if you're going to get 2 opportunities in front of the big sticks, you're going to have to kick at least one of them. Hit the scoreboard, son. But I think he's a exciting proposition. He will continue to be. It wasn't a great game by any stretch of the imagination, but he played an important role. And I think that combination at the moment of Pitt and De Koning is okay. I think it's okay at the moment, and I'm really interested to see how that develops. I think they're really different in the way they go. We know Pitt can't go forward, but we know De Koning has got some forward craft about him. So, yeah, I'm really intrigued to see how Tom De Koning develops this year. I really am. Doherty, I mean, what can you say? What can you say? I mean, that was the thing is that was circa Sam Doherty when he was All Australian in what was it, back before he had his 2 knee reconstructions. I know he would have been playing high on emotion. There's no doubt about that. He would have been just so up. But just seeing him be that what's that year? That quarterback, that guy that's there, that time there where he saved that forward thrust by Richmond. He got back and he was able to take that mark, and he's really good ball use. Kick that goal. Yeah, I mean, there's probably going to be a little bit of a down period for him. I think we might have to expect that a little bit, just because that was such a high for him, and how much that possibly would have taken out of him. Emotionally and physically as well. He looked spent. He really did. Even certain periods throughout the game, he looked spent. So whether he gets a rest, I don't know. I just, whether he gets a week off. I know it's a 7-day turnaround, but, big night for him. Huge performance, 26 disposals. He was just terrific. I love the game of Corey Durden. I reckon we've got to play it here. And I want a James Rowe, but this kid can play. He can play. He's got good sort of low, strong around the hips and the legs. He's got terrific pace. He can fade tackles. He's got a nice kick on him as well. He pushes up the ground. We know he can tackle hard. He corrals. He puts pressure on. He chases. He's got some energy and some enthusiasm. He gets to the right spots. He looks exciting. He's a real prospect for us. It's a really, really good pickup. Pick 37 by Nick Austin. It's a bloody good pickup. We haven't had a small forward like this for a long time. I know we've had Eddie, but Eddie left. This is a different type of forward to Eddie. This is your modern day small forward. Good signs. Corey Durden. I thought he was probably in our top 8 players. Just the role he played forward as centre, really important for us. Jack Martin, I'm disappointed he's got COVID. And if he's feeling like me at the moment, geez, good luck, Jack. Disappointing because I thought and if he had any symptoms going into the game, it's credit to him. But and I know they tested positive. I shouldn't be saying that, but I thought he was a real presence for us. A real presence for us in that last quarter. A real presence. Kicked the goal himself to put us in front, and then set that one up for Fisher. And I just think we can be a little bit hard on guys and think, oh well, he's only had the 13 touches, and this is a bloody hard game. Go through other players from the Richmond's team and have a look at the disposals they've had. And I mean, you're not going to get guys who are going to have 25 disposals, 30 disposals. I mean, these guys are playing starvation half forward flank. Where it's hard to get opportunities. They're doing other things off the ball. Other than just trying to get kicks. So how do you judge a player? You judge a player on the impact they have and the work they're probably doing off the ball. And I think Jack was okay. I think he was okay. He doesn't play this weekend, so someone else gets an opportunity, but he'll be back into the team. There's no doubt about that when he returns. I think Weeders was okay. I think he spent time on both Lynch. They sort of rolled over on Lynch and Reebok. Both didn't have huge impacts on the game. I don't know. I just felt Weeders was a little bit flat. was he flat or he just wasn't? He didn't take the. I suppose did he have the opportunities to take those intercept marks? Um, yeah, I don't know. I just didn't notice him a lot, to be perfectly honest. But he did. I mean, Revolt, who did get injured, and Lynch had their moments, but not overly influential. Um, and once again, what was Wiedering doing as obviously as a the vice captain, as the leader of that back line, his use of voice and the other stuff he was doing. We can't often see that. But yeah, it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was a great performance by Jacob Wiedering, but a solid one. Nick Newman, I thought he was touched up by Bolton, and he worries me a little bit. He just worries me a little bit, Nick Newman. Is he a great defender? And if he's not a great defender, is he going to be punishing for us on the rebound? So what exactly is his role in our back half in that regards? Is he defending hard, or is he providing us with clean ball use and a bit of run and carry? So I'm not quite seeing at the moment with Nick. I understand he's a great person around the football club, and he's obviously playing an important role culturally. I didn't say he had a poor performance, but I don't know. It's a watch for me at the moment. I actually like Zach Fisher's game. Started slowly and was pushed off the ball a little bit early, but I thought he worked into the game really well. I really did. And he's another one. I mean, he's had 16 disposals, okay? And I know we'd like to see a little bit more from him defensively with his tackling, but he's another one playing starvation. I mean, starvation half-forward flank, high half-forward flank, getting really small midfield minute times. And he's a link player. He's just a link player at the moment, and he's playing a role. And he kicked a really important goal in that last quarter, and I did not dislike his game one little bit. So I thought it was a positive for Zach Fisher. I thought he used the ball pretty well. So, he'll need to continue on with that consistency, because there'll be guys in the reserves, and we saw that on the weekend in that practice game, they'll be knocking down the door. Mark Pitnet started slowly, fumbled everything that came his way, but he worked into the game. Up against big Nankervis and Soldo, held his own, had the 16 hit-outs, picked up 13 disposals. Like to see him a little bit more, do more in the air, but I thought his groundwork after quarter time was pretty important, particularly in that centre square. So for me, he's a reliable ruckman at the moment, but he just needs to, I suppose, cut down on those sort of little mistakes that he tends to make. George Hewitt, great. Started a fraction slowly, but worked in his game after quarter time and became a real influence. Just safe. Just a safe footballer. He's clean under pressure. Tough, hard. Like Shearer, who picked up a beauty. An absolute beauty. What more can you say? Just 28 disposals. Very, very good. 18 handballs. Charlie Curnow, flat. Thought he was flat as attack, to be perfectly honest. Just didn't see it from Charlie. I thought Bolter touched him up early. Then when he had the opportunity, when Bolter went forward, he got young Josh Gibb Kiss. And I would have thought, first gamer, okay, here's a chance for me to work into the game. I just didn't think he got on his skates enough. He lacked a little bit of energy and some spark. Whether he's fully fit at the moment, I don't know. But all the reports over the pre-season that he's had a lot of work sort of into him, and he's up and about. I just didn't quite see it with Charlie, unfortunately. And yeah, I like Harry though. I think it will click at some stage, but it certainly didn't click on Thursday night. I thought the Tigers did particularly well on him. Oscar McDonald actually didn't mind his game at all. I know there was a couple of moments there. I think he was outmarked by, I think Bolton got him on the lead at one stage, and I think Lynch got him one-on-one in the first quarter. But I don't think we've lost a hell of a lot at the moment with Liam James. I think what Oscar McDonald provides is just a just a bit of steadiness. You know, he's just going to play a really, really specific role down back. You know, which allows Wiedering and McGovern to go to work in regards to being intercepts. And I think McDonald, 15 disposals. I think he was pretty safe with his ball use. You know, I think it was okay. I think he holds his spot at the moment. Thought it was a really good first up performance. I know he played some games as a medical sub last year, but this was his first full game for the football club. And you know, I think I may have underrated him. I know he was a source of frustration at Melbourne, but you know, I think he's started off pretty well. Saad was sensational. Saad was magnificent. I mentioned Gov as our excuse me. I mentioned Gov was our best, I suppose, tall defender, but Saad was outstanding. Aggressive, hard, pushed up the ground. Yeah, loved his game, especially late. Yeah, he was a beauty, Adam Saad. Played really well, really well. Tough, hard as nails. Setterfield was interesting. He played on Jack Ross. Thought Ross was okay. He had 20 disposals, Jack Ross, but I thought Setterfield's second quarter was really good on that wing southern stand side, and I think he's gonna be another one that's gonna be under the spotlight, particularly from our supporters. And I'm not sold on Setters at the moment, but he's got an engine, and he's able to work defensively, and that's what he's been able to do. I think he's the defensive wingman at the moment. He's sort of pushing back and being that defensive wingman. And for the most part, he's not a great kick, but he's relatively clean by hand and by foot. I think it was a solid performance by him. I really do. So, you know, he'd want to continue on that and build on that. Because I think it's a watch as well. I think it's a watch. And I think the wings will be a watch in the first part of this season. And the final player I want to talk about is Matthew Owies. I wouldn't be... I know there's the young Motlop's knocking the door down with his performances in the VFL. And I like that. I like the fact that there's some genuine pressure coming from underneath, and I think Matthew Owies just had one of those nights where he wasn't probably in the right spots, just because that's just the way it unfolded, and he had a chance to hit the scoreboard, and he kicked 2 behinds. He had 10 disposals, laid some tackles. I didn't think it was a poor performance, and I expect him to. I expect him to be okay, but he'd want to, you know, he wouldn't want to have too many more of just those, I suppose, ho-hum. I call them ho-hum. He'd want to start to hit the scoreboard, you know what I mean? And he'd want to start to have a little bit more of an impact. Although I thought our littles were pretty dynamic at times at ground level. So it's a pass for me for Matthew Owies. That's 38 minutes, guys. That's 38 minutes of me just lying here in bed with broken glasses, banging on about my football club. I will hopefully feel a lot better on Monday when I put together a preview for our upcoming clash against the Western Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium. But fucking how good are we at the moment? How good? Catch you soon.